Hi, I'm Johnny.
And I'm Mikey.
And today we're taking a look at a rehab that we did on a property that we own.
It's our first rental property and it was a little outdated and we wanted to get it modern so that we can rent it out. We did some of the work ourselves, and so what we're going to see is the work that we did.
And then we'll take a look also at what it looked like before and what it looked like once everything was done, including the work that we did and the work that we did not do. So come join us, because there's always more to do.
So let's get started.
So this was a kitchen. As you can see, it's old style kitchen. And so that's one of the things that we started with, was the cabinets. We started to
strip all the paint off of both the kitchen cabinets and the restroom cabinets.
That's right. And it was kind of a messy process, but the paint strippers themselves worked okay, but it was still very time consuming.
We tried paint stripper, liquid paint stripper, for the first time instead of sanding to see if it was going to be better. Honestly, they're both not very convenient. They're convenient products, but they take time. Here are some wood putty onto all the holes, so that way we can put new hinges on it. We were planning on doing hinges, hidden hinges. Protect the flooring that the contractors did.
Yeah, the flooring was an old grayish tile. It looked very outdated, so we switched it out to this wood pattern. But here we're priming the cabinets. We decided to see if the priming could work without having to strip all the paint because of our experience with the doors. And it actually worked out okay. There was no problems with the previous paint coming through. And here we're painting the cabinet doors with the same primer as well.
But these were stripped beforehand. Not much difference between stripped beforehand and painted over. I guess it just depends on the quality of the paint underneath to see if it will chip eventually. This is the first time that we're actually putting in hinges into a door, and we had to do a lot of drilling, and here I'm putting in centered holes for Johnny to use a drill press here.
And had to drill over 40 holes or something of that nature. Left a lot of sawdust. And here we're going to be assembling the hinges onto the door.
Now, since this was a DIY project and we used a homemade template, we did buy one. It didn't work, so we had to make one. Some of these were a little bit off, and so we did have some issue in installation, but we were able to fix all the problems. Luckily, these were very adjustable hinges.
And here we're getting them organized in front of the door so we can mount them. We made sure that they were level with each other, and we're quite proud of how it turned out. Everything was able to line up, so that worked out nicely.
If it only went by so fast. I think in total it took us about 2 hours or so to hang all the cabinet doors. Again, we did have some issues here and there, so we were adjusting as we went. Actually, no, we finished adjusting at the end.
Yeah, we first mounted them, and then we started to do final adjustments.
These door pulls were from Amazon. Tried to save some money where we could.
But they felt very sturdy. We had touched some at some of the stores we went to, and they felt very plasticky, but these felt nice and sturdy. And they were metal, so they were nice. We also changed out the light because it didn't have a cover and it looked kind of dated and old, so we decided to switch it out. And I'm glad we did. The light was much stronger afterwards.
Kind of like this out of focus look.
That was accidental. Couldn't see what I was filming.
Here. Sorry for the flashing warning here. We didn't have a set light, so I was using handheld light to hold up while we were changing the fan out. We had to change out, well, we wanted to change out all the fans out in the house to make sure that they all matched.
And because it gets really hot, it was kind of a necessary thing for those hot days.
And we do have some experience with wiring some electricity, appliances and outlets and such. Growing up, we did kind of a lot of projects here and there to help our dad out. Those are the lights we had on hand. That's why they didn't match. And we did have some issues with some plumbing on the outside, so they had to come get to the pipes from the inside, so we had to patch up this hole here.
We ended up painting it and matching it to the rest of the wall, so afterwards you couldn't tell it was there, but it was an interesting experience having to do this. We hadn't done very much with drywall growing up. That's the one thing that we haven't really done, but we've done
a few patches here and there, but this was the first time that we had a big patch like this,
a big section.
And changing the plugs to GFCIs. And smoke detectors, because previous owner had only one smoke detector in the entire house. Here we're putting the door stops on these doors after adjusting the hinges as well. And I did have to replace some like 5 screens.
Oh yeah, you also had to replace the door handle. I forgot about that. We also added a security bar to the door as well, but we didn't record that part. We also had to add a third lock to the door to make sure that it was up to code.
A deadbolt, so the key is not from the, there's no key entrance from the outside, this is just from the inside. So we had to drill new holes into the frame and such. First time we actually had to do this, and it turned out fine.
Our cleanup, it was actually quite a big mess. We tried to keep it organized, an organized mess, but we let things pile up. But the cleanup was actually not too bad because a lot of it was tools that we were using that we just needed to organize and put away. So it wasn't too bad.
This is also one of the first times that we had the 360 camera set up. We were testing it out and seeing if we could get some good angles on this. So also first time playing with the software, so camera movement might be a little bit weird. Just playing around with it.
And we're just loading up the truck with all the stuff. We were able to get most of it on one trip as well, so it was really nice to have it organized that way.
Ani had to come back for the stove and a few other things like the drywall.
So let's take a look at the before, how it used to look, and then the after. So that's the floor. It used to look very outdated and didn't match.
The kitchen as well.
Oh yeah, the popcorn on the ceiling is something we changed as well.
Those are some of the old lighting in the restrooms.
You can see it
was needing attention. They had some water damage actually. We had to get repaired. The old sink and vanity, old carpet from the 90s. And this is when the renovation started. We had the flooring brought in. Actually, we brought the flooring in, and then the contractors worked on it.
And they took off the popcorn from the ceiling to make it a flatter finish. And they were able to handle that fairly quickly. They worked really fast. Changed both bathtubs into showers, walk-ins. Just more pictures of us working on
the cabinets here. This is where the actual stripping of the paint and then the primer.
We underestimated how long it was going to take us, to be honest. And the granite installation was done by somebody, and they took care of it really nicely. Very good price.
We had to install the doorbell as well.
Oh, that's right. The doorbell was needed to be changed.
We did have it cleaned the next day, but we didn't get back into the property after this.
I love how the shower came out. It was a beautiful tile that we chose.
That mirror also, I think, is very nice and modern. The flooring, I think, is really nice. It doesn't seem like it would get very slippery when wet.
Right.
And all the fans now match. There's no damage to any of the walls anymore. The ceilings. The water damage has been taken care of, including the leaks.
Overall, I'm quite proud of how it turned out. Felt like such a massive project, and every day felt like the list never ended. But as the list got shorter and shorter, it was quite a rewarding feeling.
The finish line definitely felt closer and closer. on the last 2 or 3 weeks. Before that, it took a while for it to feel like it was going anywhere.
Yes. But I felt that even when we finally crossed that finish line, it felt like it was surreal, like we hadn't actually crossed it. We weren't done yet. There was still something else to do.
It took 2 months for the entire reno, and it cost us about $35,000 with all materials and contracting fees. That's not to mention some of the materials that we used that we already had, and not only that, but the time that we spent stripping the cabinets and painting them, and then all the other odds and ends that we did. But to get somebody else to do it would have cost us probably another $5,000 or $6,000. So ultimately, we were happy with the end result. The property was rented out about a week after it was listed.
We were quite happy to hear that, because we were afraid that we weren't going to be able to rent it out fast because of the time of year that it was rented out. But when the property manager told us that it had been rented out already, we were very excited about that.
So pretty exciting journey for our first investment property, and we plan on doing some more of these, and we'll bring you along, as it's always an adventure.
So join us next time, because there's always more to do.